Hello from Becky and me. Welcome to this evening's programme.
First, the Territorial Army soldier shot dead in Afghanistan as he pursued his dream of a full-time military career.
Rifleman Andrew Fentiman from Oakington near Cambridge put his regular job with an IT company on hold for a tour of duty with 3 Regiment based at Carver Barracks in Wimbish near Saffron Walden.
Tonight, it's emerged that the man, nicknamed Fen by friends, had blogged to workmates in Huntingdon that promised new body armour hadn't arrived and he hoped it would get there soon. Well, Matthew Hudson has been following the story and he joins us now. Matt.
Yes, Rifleman Andrew Fentiman, who was known affectionately to his comrades as Fen, worked here on the Hinchingbrook Business Park at Huntingdon, but he was in the Territorial Army and his dream was to become an officer in the regular army. Tonight that dream is over. He has become one of a growing number of casualties of the conflict in Afghanistan.
Rifleman Andrew Fentiman, who was killed on Sunday by small arms fire while on foot patrol in Helmand Province. The Territorial Army soldier wrote a blog on his company's website. His entry on November the 4th revealed that he and his colleagues were waiting for promised new lighter body armour to arrive. It's not clear whether it had arrived before his death. Tonight, the MOD said he and his colleagues in 3 Rifles battle group did have effective, if heavier, body armour. Rifleman Fentiman's family lives here in the quiet Cambridgeshire village of Oakington. Today, his parents, Kevin and Linda, and his siblings, Adam and Elizabeth, were too distressed to talk to the media. They've asked us to respect their privacy, a request which we have, of course, acceded to. Local people have been hugely saddened by the news.
It goes right across the country now, though, doesn't it? And I think it's going to affect us all one way or another.
It's quite a tight little net village, so yeah, he will be missed.
The 23-year-old had joined the TA based at Milton Keynes as a stepping stone towards his dream career as a full-time army officer. He'd volunteered to serve in Afghanistan. He was educated at Impington Village College before studying mechanical engineering at Leicester University. He was working as a sales manager for this software firm in Huntingdon. In deference to his family's wishes, his employers did not wish to comment, nor did his former school. 97 UK troops have now died in Afghanistan this year, 234 since operations began in 2001. Yesterday, the government indicated it hoped that next year plans could begin for a withdrawal of troops.
We have suffered the bloodiest war since the Falklands War. Since Armistice Day 2008, we have lost over 100 members of our armed forces. The Prime Minister spoke 10 days ago and then again last night about the aims of the mission, to prevent Afghanistan being used again by al-Qaeda under the umbrella of Taliban rule or Taliban misrule.
Tonight, a web page in Andrew's memory has been set up on the Friends at Rest website. Meanwhile, another one of our communities is mourning for a young life lost.
Well, let's head back to Matthew now. Matthew, I suppose if this terrible tragedy shows us anything, it shows us that the role of the TAs is every bit as risky as those in the regular army.
Jonathan, that's one of the things that the Army has been very keen to stress today, that members of the TA share the hardships and indeed the dangers of regular soldiers. This rifleman died doing the thing he loved most in the world, being a soldier. Whether that will be of any comfort to his family and friends at the moment, we just don't know.
All right, Matthew, thank you very much indeed for that. Right, next tonight, Conservatives in Norfolk are hoping to heal the wounds caused by a bruising battle over the selection of controversial general election candidate Elizabeth Truss.
Last night, she survived an attempt to oust her after party activists overwhelmingly backed her right to represent the Tories in their South West Norfolk constituency.
But not everyone was happy with the outcome, with one local party member branding it a deceit and betrayal. We'll be hearing from him shortly. But first, this report from Malcolm Robertson, which contains some flash photography.
She may have thought life in Norfolk would be peaceful. Elizabeth Truss discovered last night that it's anything but. This was the scene which greeted her as she arrived at the Assembly Room in Swaffham for a meeting proposing her deselection as the local Tory candidate. Today, in rather quieter surroundings, she spoke to me about her relief at surviving, the difficulty of how an affair with a Tory MP had put her in the national spotlight, and how she won local party members over.
Well, what I said is that I'm obviously sorry about the way that things had come out in the media, that I was open and honest in declaring my past to central office when I applied for the seat. But then I talked about the work I'd been doing in the constituency, the fact I've moved into Swaffham and that I've been out and about. I talked about the key local issues, like getting better infrastructure, like making sure we have good skills and training for local businesses.
Elizabeth Truss is hoping to put behind her the controversy over her personal life and hoping people will get to know her for her constituency work.
But you've heard that people say, oh, you've just been parachuted in. People have described you as a Cameron cutie coming in from London into Norfolk. How will you handle that?
Well, it's just simply not true. I was selected by the local selection committee. From 150 candidates, they selected me as one of 6. I was voted for by the local association. I was voted for again by the association last night. So it's not true. It's just simply not true. It's a rumour.
But while Elizabeth Truss was more than satisfied with the way last night's meeting went, Sir Jeremy Bagge, who'd been part of the campaign to deselect her, was angry and critical of the party he's always supported.
Because Conservative Central Office deceived us and they've betrayed us, right?
Those are very strong words.
They are very strong words, and that's how I feel.
John Wright's a retired farmer. He's voted in this constituency all his life and was one of those who addressed last night's meeting. He believes Sir Jeremy's comments weren't helpful. But Sir Jeremy said his problem wasn't with Elizabeth Truss, it was with Conservative Central Office.
Well, I think that's the same thing as what I'm saying. We don't want too much control from Conservative Central Office. We can do without that. We've looked after ourselves very well in the past. We've had good MPs, going back to Sir Dennis Bullard, and the thing is, Gillian Shepherd, Paul Hawkins, you know, 3 very good people. In fact, we had old Sidney Dye, the Labour man. The only trouble with him was he was a good man, but, you know, he wore the wrong tie. But, you know, we've always been served by local people. And I hope that this might be a bit of a lesson to Cameron.
What John Wright says reflects the views of a lot of people at a local level. The Tory hierarchy clearly see Elizabeth Truss as the sort of candidate with the required energy and vision they believe will make the party electable at the general election. But there are many among the rank and file who want to see a balance struck between traditional Conservative values and that modern approach. Malcolm Robertson, Anglia News, Norfolk.
Well, as you heard in that report, local party member Sir Jeremy Bagge made his feelings on the matter extremely clear last night. I'm delighted to say he joins us live now from his home at Stradset Hall in Norfolk. Good evening, Sir Jeremy Bagge. Thank you for joining us this evening. Last night you mentioned the words deceit, betrayal. This evening, is it a case of being contrite and embarrassed?
Not the slightest bit. Good evening to you all. It's not the slightest bit. We were deceived. We have been betrayed. But she's been selected as the candidate, and we've got to back her. So on we go.
So, Jeremy, you heard in that report there Elizabeth Truss saying she's sort of making a point that she's now going to be living within a constituency and going out and about meeting people. How does that make you feel when you hear that?
Well, I think it's great, providing she actually does spend her time in the constituency, other than the time that she's got to spend in Parliament itself. That will be absolutely great. And if she gets out and about and wins the vote, tremendous. I voted for her at the selection committee. My case is actually against Conservative Central Office. It's not against her. It's not against her morals. It's not against anything. And it's not against women. It's against the Conservative Central Office, who totally failed to advise us that, in fact, there was a bit of history which could cause us embarrassment. I went with the flow at the selection committee meeting, and in the hope that we'd get on and get somebody selected and go into the general election with somebody who knew the constituency and got to know the local people who were going to help her. And within hours, we actually discovered there was some history, and we been subjected to unnecessary embarrassment, which we were trying to avoid.
OK. So, Jeremy, let's talk about Conservative Central Office there. You talked about that. I mean, actually, really, that is the issue, isn't it? How much damage have you done to the Tory party with this? You've been branded as a turnip Taliban. We've got a major, obviously, the general election coming up next year. Just how much damage have you done as an individual to the Tory party over all of this?
I don't actually feel that I've done any damage. I've woken them up. And if you... In fact, and nobody will be privileged enough to see the correspondence that I've received from people and the telephone calls that I've received from people throughout the country supporting me. I haven't had any single person other than the lady last night who refused to shake my hand. I've had absolutely nothing against what I've got to stand up for, and I will continue to stand for it.
So, Jeremy Bagge, thank you very much.